In this video, we're looking at substituting into expressions. To evaluate an expression, which is this green thing here, x plus 2y, or to substitute values means to replace each pronumeral, which are the letters, in an expression with a number to obtain a final value. So for this example here, for this expression, we have been given the value of x as 3 and the value of y as 8. So we start here and look at this. We've been given x plus 2y. That's the expression. Underneath it, because we always work down, you need to substitute in the value of x. Well, x means 3, so we're in the substitution line. So that x becomes a 3. I drop the plus down. Now, this actually means 2 times y. In between the number and the y is an invisible multiplication symbol. So we can bracket this and go 2 times the value of y, which is 8. And like order of operations, we follow the same procedure, which is brackets, multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction. Okay? This is the order that we do those, whichever order they come in first, whether it's multiplication or division or addition or subtraction, it doesn't matter. So we follow our order of operations. So again, we drop the 3 plus down. We focus on the brackets because brackets come first. 2 times 8 is 16. And now we evaluate this. We finally add 3 and 16 together and we get 19. So the answer to that expression after we've substituted in the values is 19. So to continue what we're doing, the like term 4a means 4 times a. When substituting into an expression, we must include the multiplication sign, since two numbers written as 42 or 42 is very different from the product of 4 and 2. So we're going to have another substitution here, and we're going to say the value of t is 5. So given t equals 5, find the answers to each of these 3 questions. So we'll start here on the left with question 1. So I put an equal sign underneath, and it says t plus 7. So I know the value of t is 5, so in this first line here of my working out, my substitution line, I'm replacing t for 5, drop the addition symbol down, and then the 7. And then I simply add 5 plus 7 is 12. This one here, 8t, really means 8 times t. Between the number 8 and the pronumeral t is an invisible multiplication symbol. So I put my equal sign and I prepare for my substitution line. I drop down the 8. I must put the multiplication symbol in here, and I replace t for the value of 5. Keep working down the page, put an equal sign. 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, this one looks quite different to the other ones, but don't be afraid because it looks like this. There's a few more calculations using order of operations as well, and then we will find the answer. So we're going to replace the letter t's for the values of 5. So simply in your substitution line, replace the t for a 5 and drop everything else down until you have finished it. Okay? So we've now done the substitution line. The t's are now 5s. So now we can start solving this. Remember, division before the addition and subtraction, because we're looking at the brackets, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, the order of operations. So how many times does 5 go into 10? It goes 2 times. I drop down the 4 minus 5. And now, because I've got addition and subtraction, I can simply work across the page, or I can solve in 2 more. So I'll just solve in 2 more lines. 4 and 2, so we add these together here. So 2 plus 4 is 6. Drop down the minus 5, and then go 6 minus 5 is 1. So that is the 4 lines of working out for that particular expression. However, when you get to this line here, you don't necessarily need to solve the first part and then the second part. You can actually work across the page and go 2 plus 4 is 6, 6 minus 5 is 1. But I like to put every line of working in there to show that I understand what I'm doing. So we're now stepping it up a little bit more, some more rigor. So we've got a couple of questions here, and the value of x is 4, and the value of y is 7. So substitute x equals 4 and y equals 7 to evaluate these expressions. So let's look at this one here first. So it says 5x plus y equals 8. So my first line is to replace the pronumeral letters with the values they've been given. So 5, now remember I've got to split the 5 and the x up with a multiplication symbol. And now I replace the value of x with the number 4. I put plus, the value of y is 7, and I drop down the plus 8. So basically what I've done there is removed the letters, replaced them with numbers, and made sure that this invisible multiplication symbol exists in the next line. So now I do order of operations. So we've got multiplication, addition, addition. So first of all, multiplication. Okay, so we're going to solve 5 times 4 is 20. Drop down the plus 7 plus 8. We've got addition all the way across. We can simply go ahead and add that up, but I'm going to do it in 2 steps. I'm going to add 20 plus 7 is 27 and drop down the plus 8. And then I'm going to solve 27 plus 8 is 35. In this example over here, this question I should say, we've got 80 minus bracket 2xy plus y bracket. So again, like this question here, we're going to have invisible multiplication symbols in between the 2 and the x and the y. So my next line, okay, of calculations will exist in this bracket because brackets come first. So I just drop down the 80 minus. I open the bracket. I'm now going to expand these pronumerals and put in multiplication symbols and replace the x and the y's with their correct values. So it's going to be 2 times, now x is the value of 4, so I replace that, put the other times symbol down, and I replace the y for the 7, put the addition symbol down, and again we have another 7 value here with the y, and I close the brackets. Okay. This is still coming first because brackets come first, so I'm dropping down the 80 minus. I'm now going to deal with this. Now, I've got to do it in some parts because I've got to make sure that I deal with the order of operations. So, open the bracket. 2 times 4 I'm going to do first. So, 2 times 4 is 8. I then put the times 7 plus 7 bracket down. I start a new line. I don't need to touch the 80 minus yet. I open the bracket. Inside this whole bracket here, I've got the 8 times 7, which is what I've got to do first, and that is 56, and I just drop down the plus 7 and close the bracket. Put the equal sign. Again, 80 doesn't get touched or looked at for a while. It's still dropping down the bottom. I'm now going to solve this bracket section here. So 56 plus 7 is 63, and now 80 comes into play. We go 80 minus 63, and that answer is 17. So even though we're substituting in the values of x and y, because they've been given to us, we still must follow brackets, multiplication, division, and addition, subtraction order. This order of operations is very, very important. If we don't follow that through the steps, we're going to make errors. Finally, we're going to have a look at powers and roots. We've looked at powers, so things like squared numbers, cube numbers. So those powers, the ones with the little tiny numbers up to the top right-hand side of either a pronumeral or a number. So we've got our pronumeral here and our number example here. There's the pronumeral ones there. And roots, square roots, okay? So let's have a look at this one here. We're still going to do substitution, but we're going to look at the other rules that are involved in this as well. So, looking at 3p squared, remember there's an invisible multiplication symbol between the 3 and the p. So we have to drop down the 3, the multiplication symbol which separates the p. Now the pronumeral p value is 4. So we substitute that in and we still give it the power. The next line, okay, is 3 times, and we've got to solve the power. We don't do anything until we've solved this. So 4 to the power of 2 really means 4 times 4, and we know that equals 16. So 16 ends up being placed into that section there of that substitution line. And now we just need to solve. 3 times 16 is 48. Okay, so we've now got another question over here with two lots of powers. So first line's going to be is replacing or substituting the value of p, which is 4, so 4 to the power of 3, plus the value of q, which is 5, 5 to the power of 2. Okay, so we've got to solve this separately and that separately before we can add them together. So P's power is, 4's power is 3. So that's like saying 4 times 4 times 4. Okay, so we replace that with the answer of 64 because that's what that comes to. And we look at this one here, 5 to the power of 2, which really means 5 times 5. So we add that on and that is 25. Okay, so now we add these two together. 64 plus 25 equals 87. Moving over here to the square root powers. Okay, so we've got the square root of p squared plus 3 squared. Okay, this big square root sign is going to stay here for a while until the very last minute. Okay, so we're going to redraw that and we're going to worry about this section under here first. So p equals 4 and it's got a power of 2. And we can just solve 3 to the power of 2 because that means 3 times 3 and that is 9. Now we're going to continue this. We're going to solve what this is here. So 4 to the power of 2 is actually 16 and we drop down the 9. We keep this going. We haven't finished yet. We've got to finish doing what's inside this square root symbol. And we add 16 and 9 and that becomes 25. And then in your calculator, you're going to punch in the square root symbol, 25 equals, and you're going to find the answer is 5. Now remember, to find the square root of 25, it's a number that multiplies by itself to get this answer. So we know that 5 times 5 equals 25, okay? It's also written as 5 to the power of 2. So we know that the powers and the square root numbers have a relationship. So this here, number 5, is your answer.